Hello everyone and welcome back to another must-see chess game by Bobby Fischer. In this chess game, his opponent was Anthony Saidy, who was an international master of chess. He is still alive, by the way. And he was one of the very close friends of Bobby Fischer. He was close to Fischer. At one time, in a time period, Bobby Fischer stayed in his house before he competed against Boris Spassky for the World Chess Championship title in Reykjavik. And it is said that Saidy was one of the important people who convinced Bobby Fischer to go to Reykjavik and play against Boris Spassky, because Bobby Fischer looked so reluctant at that time. As we all know, Bobby Fischer was a very difficult person. So he convinced Bobby Fischer to do that and face with Boris Spassky. If it was not for Saidy and people like him, maybe Fischer would not even compete in the World Chess Championship against Spassky in 1972. So he was hiding from everyone, from the community. So he was basically a difficult person, but of course he was a genius as well. So Anthony Saidy is an international master of chess. And he was the winner of the Canadian Open chess tournament. So this chess game was played in 1968 between Bobby Fischer and Saidy. So Fischer in this chess game had the black pieces, and I think we should check out this chess game from the perspective of Bobby Fischer. So Fischer had the black pieces, and Saidy starts the game with c4, and this is the English opening. So pushing the pawns, developing the pieces, and bishop to c5, and we have f4, and this is a pawn sacrifice by Bobby Fischer. It is not the most sound move. I mean, a computer chess engine doesn't like this move, but at the same time it gives black a lot of activity. Black has a very active position and a lot of attacking opportunities. So this was the idea of Fischer, and then Bobby Fischer castled. So he's offering his pawn again. F takes on e5 is possible, but if capturing the pawn, you can see that bishop takes on f2 is also possible, because if king takes bishop, accepting the sacrifice, then knight to g6, g4, discovered check to the king, double check, and after moving the king, landing on f2. So maybe this was the crazy plan of Bobby Fischer. So Saidy didn't want to open the f-file. He is developing a very normal move, lining the queen with the king, and finally castling d6, knight to a4, bishop to d4, capturing the bishop, e takes on d4, h3, h5, a3, a5 by Bobby Fischer, b3, queen to g6, knight from b to d2, knight to b2, bishop to f5, and queen to c2, knight to d7, and you can see that there is big pressure on d3. So rook over, centralizing the rook, and finally knight to c5 by Bobby Fischer, bringing the big guns out and targeting on d3. So bishop goes back, forcing his opponent to retreat, and rook to a6, lifting the rook up, and maybe Bobby Fischer can play rook to b6 and targeting the weakness. So this is actually a pretty good move. Developing the bishop, and then rook to b6 by Bobby Fischer, and it looks like there is big pressure on b3. So bishop takes on a5 by Anthony Saidy, and it is a pretty logical move, because if knight takes bishop, white can push the pawn, and that's forking the knights. But Bobby Fischer is not looking back, he is moving forwards. Rook takes on b3, bishop goes back, rook over, targeting the a pawn, defending, rook to a6, he is planning to double the rooks, so pushing the pawn, king to h7, rook from e to d1, and b6 by Fischer. And then we have knight to a4 after capturing the pawn. Now in this position, it looks like maybe retreating the rook comes to mind, because white is attacking the only defender of the rook. In this position, Bobby Fischer played an incredible move. Well, he played, can you see the possible move in this position? Not retreating the rook, But rook takes on d3 by Bobby Fischer, sacrificing the exchange. What a move. And this move requires a lot of calculation skill and great judgment. It also requires great judgment. So we have bishop takes on d3. If knight takes on c5, capturing, then simply not rook takes on g3. Maybe you're expecting that rook takes g3, check is possible, winning the queen. But then white is going to get a lot of material. So you can see that knight is also attacking the rook. So this is much better. This is a discovery attack to the queen. After capturing the rook, defending the queen, what else? Capturing the knight, and black is much better after all that. So in this position, rook takes on d3, bishop takes on d3, bishop takes, Bobby Fischer sacrificed the exchange, queen to a2, defending the queen, and then knight to b4. So you can see that if bishop takes knight, then capturing back, and this knight is pinned, and this is looking very dangerous. So this is why defending the queen, not capturing. But let's check out what happens if queen to b4. Then simply knight takes knight, rook takes, and then bishop to c2, forking the rooks. And if in this position, if bishop takes on b4, then a takes on b4, the knight is pinned. So after defending, knight to b3, forking queen and the rook, you can see that defending is not so easy against Bobby Fischer. It must be so nerve-wracking to play against Bobby Fischer. So after queen takes, rook takes, capturing the rook, defending the knight, and in this position there are more than one good move. So for example, rook to a2 is a very good move. So is c5. Look at this, black has a very solid position, and after all this, black is much better. Actually, black is a pawn up. So in the real chess game, we have queen to a3, not capturing the knight, or not playing queen to b2 or something like that. Fischer played knight to c2, so this is walking into the forking. So there is not much white can do. Queen to b2 and then simply capturing the rook. Fischer is getting back a lot of important material. So what else? Rook takes on a4, and it is black to move and to play a very strong move. What would you do in this position? Okay, so did you see queen to e4? This is what Bobby Fischer played, attacking the bishop. And where is the bishop going? What now? We have bishop takes on a5, but actually this was a blunder. But in this position, no matter what white plays, white is lost. So for example, if bishop to d2, then rook to b6 after, where is the queen going? Seriously, if queen goes up to the first rank, then rook to b1, winning the queen. So if queen to a3, check, blocking with the bishop, what else? Otherwise getting checkmated on h1. Queen to e1, the bishop is pinned. So king goes down, queen to f1, and then getting checkmated. Or in this position, if king to h2, then check, and then check, sacrificing, but getting checkmated on the light square. So defending is not easy, as you can see after queen to e4. This is why Bobby Fischer is forcing his opponent to make a blunder. Bishop takes on d2 was a blunder, and this was such an elementary problem. Bobby Fischer played the killer move, and after that move, his opponent and his close friend Anthony Saidy resigned. So what would you do in this position if I give you 5 seconds? Actually, it's a very simple move. After the next move of Bobby Fischer, Saidy resigned. So okay, your time is starting from now. This is a beginner level problem, the solution is very simple. Can you see what's wrong with white's position? Okay, I think I have waited enough. Fischer played rook takes on a5, and after this move, Saidy resigned. Because of this continuation, capturing the rook and then checking the king, this is forking the king and the rook, and black is a piece up. And this position is unplayable especially against Bobby Fischer, you can't play this. Okay, so this is the pretty nice, extremely confident chess game by Bobby Fischer. Of course, Fischer was so much more stronger than his opponent. This is why maybe he was just having fun in the openings, especially in the opening section. He played a little bit crazy, of course, but he was extremely confident, and that's one of the personal trials of Bobby Fischer. He was extremely confident as a person. So rook takes on a5 and Saidy resigned. Fischer was confident rightfully, as he was an exceptionally strong chess player, and his opponent was of course much weaker compared to Bobby Fischer. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and bye bye.